This is your Weather Xtreme video for Saturday, May the 7th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Thanks so much for tuning in. Surface pattern this morning features a large high-pressure system centered over about New Orleans, and that will be basically affecting our weather for the next couple of days, keeping us sunny, pleasant, and a warming trend as it manages to shift slowly eastward. In the upper atmosphere, we have a situation where we have a large ridge in the middle of the country, and that is between two large troughs, one over Southern California and the southwestern U.S., and the other over the eastern half of the country. That will slowly be changing over the next week. And that is also creating some very warm temperatures. As a matter of fact, stations in Minnesota were in the lower 90s yesterday. Two harbors actually set a record high of 93, tying the record for the day, or the warmest temperature for the day, of McAllen, Texas for yesterday. So very warm weather. Across the south central part of the U.S. and across the central and north Alabama, temperatures this morning were generally in the 40s. A little bit warmer by a few degrees, but still a cool morning. But this is probably the last cool morning we'll see for some time to come. Watch warning map is relatively clear. The pink areas you see are actually high fire danger due to dryness. And then those green areas that you see in parts of the Central Rockies area, those are actually flash flood and flood advisories. QPF pretty much tells the story for us. We're not going to see much in the way of rain over the next 5 days, and most of that coming Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This ends actually Thursday morning, so we'll be looking for that. Storm Prediction Center outlooking a slight risk, the standard risk for severe storms over parts of northeastern Colorado and a little bit of Nebraska and Kansas, and then a slight risk over parts of the Ohio River Valley on day 1, that's today. For day 2, which is Sunday into early Monday, there's an enhanced risk over parts of Kansas and western Oklahoma. That's surrounded by a large slight risk that extends from near San Angelo, Texas, across the western part of Oklahoma, the western nearly 2/3 of Kansas, and into central Nebraska. Day 3, which would be Monday into early Tuesday, a slight risk over primarily Arkansas, southern Missouri, southeastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, and northeastern Texas. Sorry about that. All right, there's a look at the surface map for today. And, of course, as we mentioned, the high pressure will be sliding generally to the east along the Gulf Coast, so that's going to keep the weather nice. In the upper atmosphere, the ridge to our west is going to be coming slowly our way, and it's going to be gradually beaten down by the large trough that we see off to the west over the Rockies that will be ejecting out across the central U.S. and beating that ridge down. By Sunday, we see the beginnings of that deep trough coming out of the central part of the Rockies there and the southern Rockies, coming across the central U.S., and that will lead to the development of a surface low over the western parts of Kansas, with a trailing cold front down into West Texas. And a quick look at the Cape values, and you can see that those values are between about 2,000 and 3,500 or so over parts of the central plains of Oklahoma and Kansas, where we expect to see that that enhanced risk of severe weather. The trough continues to come out on Monday. Again, that's weakening that ridge as it kind of pushes and beats down that ridge. And that ends up with the surface low not moving very much and the front still stretching down into Texas. Tuesday, that nice piece of that trough comes out across the central U.S. With one piece hanging back there a little bit, and that brings the surface low up into Iowa, with a trailing cold front again back into Texas. So not much change in the overall weather pattern, but we now come under pretty strong southerly flow. Moisture should be increasing Monday and Tuesday, and on Monday we'll probably see an increase in clouds, but Tuesday we should see the scattered showers a possibility. Wednesday, the ridge is now hardly just a mere skeleton of itself, as that last piece of that trough over the west begins to come out, helping to beat it down. In the meantime, the surface low moves up into central Canada, and we see the development of a bit of a high pressure system over Texas. The front kind of dragging down into our area, and that front will wash out on Thursday as that strong trough moves across the Great Lakes. But our flow becomes sort of zonal with a slight tilt towards the northwest. And we see at the surface that a weak front will probably come down into the area. So it looks like Thursday we keep a chance for some scattered showers. Friday, our flow remains a bit on the northwesterly side as we see a ridge developing once again over the western parts of the country. And meantime, at the surface, high pressure settles in over the southeastern U.S. So it looks like Friday we should see a bit of a drying trend for much of the southeastern U.S. And quickly looking at the European, there's pretty close agreement in the two. A little bit of differences, minor differences in the exact position of the high, but they both agree that we should be drying out somewhat. By the time we get out to Saturday, that northwesterly flow is certainly well established. And as I mentioned in the discussion, we have to watch for that northwesterly flow pattern because it is possible for large clusters, mesoscale convective systems or complexes to develop in that northwesterly flow over the central plain states and move our way. So we'll always have to keep our eye on that. The GFS and the Euro not showing any signs of that, but the surface pattern showing us that on Saturday the southeastern U.S. is generally going to be dry. Looking out into Voodoo country, and indeed we stay under that northwesterly flow as the ridge becomes well established in the western U.S. and doesn't change much. This is all the way out to the 18th of May with that northwesterly flow pattern staying in place for us in the southeastern U.S. And then when we get out to the very end of the period at 372 hours, the GFS is suggesting that we're going to see general ridging over a large portion of the central United States, with the exceptions of the east and west coasts. Well, that'll do it for the Weather Xtreme video for this morning. I expect to have the next one posted first thing on Sunday morning. In the meantime, stay tuned to the blog for notes on Alabama's weather. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Have a great day and Godspeed.